Elias wasn't sure why he'd come back to this cafe tonight of all nights. Maybe it was the familiar smell of roasted beans, or the soft music, or the way the lights glowed like someone had dimmed the world just enough to breathe easier. Mostly, though, it was because this was the one place he could sit and exist without anyone expecting anything from him. But when Mara and little Leo sat down, that quiet space shifted, subtly, but unmistakably. At first, Mara kept her shoulders tight and her eyes low, like she was trying to fold herself into the smallest version of a person. Leo, meanwhile, quietly explored the wooden table with his tiny fingers, tapping the grain, lining up his crackers, and occasionally peeking at Elias with wide, cautious eyes. "Do you come here a lot?" Mara asked softly after a few minutes, as if needing to say something to justify her presence. "Sometimes," Elias replied. "It's peaceful. And they don't rush people out." Her lips curved, not quite into a smile, but into something close. "That's rare. Most places, well, they seem to want you gone as soon as your plate is empty." He nodded. He'd felt that too, especially in places where he looked like the odd one out. Too quiet. Too solitary. Too forgotten. Leo suddenly lifted his head. "Mom, can I draw?" Mara looked inside her tote bag, worry flickering across her face when she found it mostly empty. Then she pulled out a tiny stub of a pencil, barely longer than her finger, and a folded receipt. "This is all I have right now," she murmured, embarrassed. Before Elias realized he'd moved, he pushed his unused notepad across the table, along with a pen he always kept clipped to it. "You can borrow these," he said gently. Mara froze. "Oh, no, that's too much." "It's fine," Elias replied. "Really? I don't mind." Leo's eyes sparkled as he took the pad. "For me?" "For you," Elias said. The boy grinned, a small, shy grin that carried more warmth than the whole cafe. Mara exhaled, a soft breath that sounded like a weight loosening. "Thank you. You didn't have to." "I know," Elias interrupted quietly. "But I wanted to." She looked at him again, her gaze lingering longer this time, and he saw something change behind her eyes. Something like disbelief, shifting into relief. For a moment, the three of them just sat there, the silence no longer stiff but strangely comfortable. Leo hunched over the notepad, drawing something with deep concentration. Mara's hands finally unclenched. Elias took a sip of his coffee, now lukewarm, and set it down. "Long day?" he asked gently. Mara let out a small laugh, the kind that wasn't amused but familiar with exhaustion. "Long month," she said. "Maybe long year." He didn't pry. People rarely shared so openly unless they were carrying more than they could manage. She continued anyway. "I'm still figuring things out," she said. "Jobs. Schedules. All of it. It's just me and Leo, so, it gets overwhelming." Her voice didn't crack, but Elias sensed the tightrope she walked on every day. Balancing everything while trying not to fall apart. Leo looked up suddenly. "Mom works a lot," he announced proudly. "She's super brave." Mara flushed. "Leo." He shrugged, focused back on his drawing. "It's true." Elias smiled at the boy's earnestness. "Sounds like he's very proud of you." She swallowed, and for just a moment, her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with the kind of emotion people get when they've been carrying too much alone. "I try," she whispered. "You're doing more than that," Elias told her. And he meant it. She didn't look away this time. Across the cafe, the chatter grew louder, students discussing assignments, coworkers laughing too loudly, baristas calling out drink orders. But at their little table, the atmosphere felt gentler, like the world had paused just enough for these three people to catch their breath. A waitress stopped by, giving Elias a questioning look. "Would you like anything else?" He turned to Mara. "Would you and Leo like something?" "I can." Before he could finish, Mara shook her head quickly, her cheeks pink. "No, thank you. We're okay." He didn't push. Pride was a delicate thing. But he also noticed the way her hand subtly shielded the empty space in front of Leo, as if she didn't want anyone guessing they hadn't ordered because they couldn't afford to. Leo, oblivious, scribbled a big round shape on the page. "Look, Mom. It's a dinosaur." Mara leaned closer. "It looks very fierce." "It's protecting you," Leo said matter-of-factly. "From the rain monsters." "There are rain monsters?" Elias asked with mock seriousness. Leo nodded. "Only on stormy nights. They make loud noises so kids get scared. But if you draw a dinosaur, they leave you alone." "Well then," Elias said solemnly, "we're lucky to have your dinosaur with us." Leo beamed. Mara laughed softly, really laughed this time, and the sound surprised even her. It was warm. Unpracticed. Like she hadn't heard it in a while. "Sorry," she said. "He has a huge imagination." "It's a good thing," Elias replied. "Kids need big imaginations." "And adults?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. He looked down at the table. "Adults forget how." Mara grew quiet. She watched him for a few seconds, as if she could see through the practiced calm he wore like a coat. "You're very kind," she said. "Most people don't even look at us. They just judge. That's not fair." "It's life," she said simply. "Some people think a mom alone with her kid must have made mistakes." The implication hung in the air. Elias didn't ask what had happened, whether someone had left, or passed away, or simply never been in the picture. He didn't need the details to understand the weight behind her words. "You're here," he said instead. "You're raising him. That's not a mistake." Mara blinked, startled by the sincerity in his voice. Outside, the rain thickened, sliding in streaks down the glass. Leo kept drawing, filling the page with bold shapes and wobbly lines. Mara watched her son's little hands move, and Elias noticed how her expression softened, how the tension in her shoulders eased just a bit more. Maybe it was the warm lights. Maybe it was Leo's dinosaur. Maybe it was simply being allowed to sit without fear of being unwelcome. But something was changing at that table. Eventually, Leo held up the notepad proudly. "Done." Mara looked. "It's wonderful." Elias leaned in. The drawing was messy, colorful, chaotic, but in the center, 3 stick figures stood under a big dinosaur tail, sheltered from rain. A woman. A child. And a tall figure with messy hair. "Oh," Mara breathed. "Leo, who's that?" Leo pointed. "That's him." Elias froze. "Me?" "You're nice," Leo said. "Dinosaurs protect nice people." It was such a simple sentence. Such an innocent observation. But something about it pressed directly on Elias's chest. Mara looked at Elias, longer than before. And in her eyes, there wasn't shyness now. There was something like gratitude. Like trust beginning to form. Like the start of something none of them had expected when the cafe door had opened. Elias set the notepad gently on the table. "Well," he said, smiling just a little, "I'm honored." Mara looked down, smiling too, though she tried to hide it. And the 3 of them stayed like that a while longer, tucked into their small corner of the cafe, warmed not by coffee or lights, but by the quiet realization that none of them felt as alone anymore.